This is Immigration Attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration and to see the questions that you may have on your mind today. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to all of you who are new followers. Hello to all of my current clients. And if you're watching me for the first time, thank you so much for joining me, and let me know what country you are from and what state you're living in, because I always love to find out where my followers and viewers are from. So welcome to my live. My name is Moumita Rahman. I'm an immigration attorney. I practice here in New York City. However, I work with clients all over the United States, and I have been practicing immigration law for nearly 15 years, including through the latest Trump administration. So I have a little bit of experience of what to expect and what's going on. And if you are worried about your immigration process or about your options, go ahead and drop me your question in the box below, and I will do my best to answer as many questions live that I can during the time that I have today. So thank you for joining. Hello, everybody. Hello, Sam, Ezekiel, Diamond. Hi, how are you? Novi, Luis. Hello, everybody. And hello from Pakistan, Brazil, Guinea, New Jersey. Nice to see you. Ghana, Turkey in Colorado. That's great. I've been to Turkey 3 times. I love Turkey. And from California. Also, I do want to extend a word out to my clients who are out in the LA area. I hope you guys are okay. We will be checking up on you from the firm in the following couple of weeks. Gina, hello, Gina. Nice to see you, Gina. I haven't seen you in so long. How are you? All right, guys. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about immigration and see what questions you have. I have my first question today, and it is from KY, how to prepare for a visa interview post DV case. Okay, so I don't do diversity visas, and this is what you need to understand. If you have an interview at the consulate, it is really, really important how you prepare. Anytime that you're having an immigration interview, whether it's inside the United States in front of USCIS or it's outside with the consular officer, there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, and they're going to be very, very different interviews. If anyone here has already been to the consulate, you already know that your interview might take max 5-10 minutes, and you get a very, very quick decision right away. Sometimes they don't ask you any questions. And if you are having an interview here inside with USCIS officers at a USCIS office, your interview can sometimes take half hour, an hour, or more. So these are vastly different experiences. I'm just gonna wipe this, make sure you guys can see me. All right, so if you have a visa interview overseas, whatever category your visa interview is in, you need to make sure that, number one, your documentation is in order. For example, you have to make sure you have proof of why you're asking for a visa to be granted. You have to show that you're eligible for it. Number two, you've got to make sure that your biographic documents are in order, and you have the original documents and anything that the consulate asks you for. Normally, before you go for your visa interview overseas, you usually get a list of documentation that you must bring with you to your appointment, and you need to go over this list not just once, not just twice, but about 3 times to make sure that all of your paperwork is in order. Because when you go in front of a visa officer for your interview, you literally get 30 seconds to make an impression, and they give you a decision within less than 5 minutes. And if something is out of order or missing, then they're going to issue you a denial and put your case in an administrative processing. Okay. All right. Let's see if I have a question from Diamond Crystal. Diamond Crystal. Let's see what your question is. For fictitious plates in New Jersey, a no plate dismissal by prosecutor's discretion and no arrest, will I be denied for citizenship? From Diamond Crystal. Diamond Crystal, thank you so much for your question. Now, this is a little bit of a difficult question to answer, and I understand from what it sounds like you have a dismissed charge, but you want to apply for citizenship. So let's talk about, in general, if you have any sort of criminal issue, can you apply for citizenship, and will it create a problem even if it's dismissed? And the answer is it might still create a problem. So if you have any sort of criminal history, criminal issue, I don't care how long ago it was, and I don't care that it was dismissed. Sometimes a lot of people might think that something is dismissed when in reality it wasn't dismissed, but you took you agreed to and you pled guilty to a lesser charge or a different charge. So it's not the same thing as being dismissed, and commonly it's something that people get confused about. Now, whether something is truly dismissed or whether you pled down to something of a lesser charge, you need to get your charges analyzed. You need to get your charges analyzed because sometimes they can present issues for good moral character. Sometimes they can present a bar to you being able to be approved for something. And whether or not it's going to be a problem for your citizenship is really going to depend on so many factors, such as exactly what happened, exactly what was said, exactly what was pled guilty to, and exactly when it happened, and whether this fits into the confines of what may bar your good moral character, okay? So Diamond, don't lose hope. What I'm saying is you just need to get the paperwork of what happened and make sure you get it analyzed by an attorney before you file for citizenship, okay? Because you don't want to have any nasty surprises, okay? Let's see. My VAWA was approved 4 months ago, and I don't have any news yet for my I-485. Should I be worried? From Milton. First of all, Milton, congratulations. Congratulations to you on getting your VAWA approved. I understand that your I-460 has been approved, and now you're anxiously waiting for your I-485 decision, and it's been 4 months. So should you be worried? And the answer is no. You should not be worried, because I want you to think of it this way, Milton. Your I-360 was approved in Vermont Service Center, and it's attached to a paper file. Once your I-360 gets approved, it has to be physically mailed over and shipped over to your local field office. And then that local field office has to basically put you in line for a decision. And sometimes it means that they want to see you for an interview. Sometimes it means that they're just going to give you an RFE for a medical exam and give you a decision in the mail of an approval of your green card. That's what I will hope will happen to you. But in case they decide to give you an interview, or in case the office itself is very busy, it just takes time, because again, think of it like putting yourself in line, right? When it comes to immigration, anything that you do, you're basically putting yourself in line for a decision, and you just have to wait your turn for your case to make it to the immigration officer's desk. Sometimes that can happen in 1 month. Sometimes it can take 6 months for this to happen. We never exactly know how long a decision is going to take in an immigration case, but 4 months is not so bad. And I know you feel really anxious because you're just waiting for a decision. You're so close to that finish line, and this happens to everyone. When you get so close to the finish line, you just get more and more anxious for it to be over, and I get it, but just keep holding on, and I wish you well, and I know you're going to be fine, okay? All right, let's see what else I have from Instagram. What is the wait time for a U visa? From Brian, the wait time for a U visa can be anywhere from 5 to 7 to 10 years at this point. Dude from Mexico and in Florida. Can I file for my mom even if her sister has filed for her? From B.O. Zane. Yes, you can. So it's a common misconception that some people will think that just because somebody filed for you, that somebody else cannot file for you, and that's not correct. Let's say, for example, your mom filed for you. Well, if you get married, your spouse can file for you now too. You always have to make sure that you meet all of the conditions and you meet all the eligibility requirements before you file for anything. Because you don't want to lose your money or lose your time. But just because your mom has filed for you and now you have somebody else, like a sister or a sibling who wants to file for you, they can still file for you too, okay? One does not preclude the other. Nick, hello, nice to see you. All right, what is the wait time for an I-130 approval? It can take anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half, depending on what's going on with your case. From Sayu Castellan, I'm married with a citizen, 4 citizen kids, 3 have a blood disorder. Can I fix without leaving the state? From Sayu. Okay, I gotta take a sip of water before I start answering. If you are married to a citizen, you have multiple U.S. citizen children, we first want to see if we can fix your status through your spouse. And the number one question that people have is, can I fix my status without having to leave the U.S.? Because in most cases, if you are asking me whether or not you can fix your status and you have a citizen spouse and citizen children, most likely you're asking me this question because you don't have an easy way to fix your status because you don't have a legal entry. And if you don't have a legal entry, if you don't have that entry with inspection, then most of the time, most lawyers are going to tell you that the only way that you can fix your status is by doing the I-601A waiver or the perdón and leaving the United States to go for your interview overseas. And nobody wants to do that, especially when you have 4 kids. If you have any kids, you don't want to risk being separated from your family and getting denied overseas and then being stuck outside for years and maybe even trying to come back the hard way, right? So if you don't have a legal entry, but you're married to a citizen, you have adults or you have citizen children, the number one thing that I will first look at, which you may not want to hear, but I want to first find out whether or not you're having any problems in your marriage. The reality is that not every marriage is perfect. And in the marriages where you're having a difficult time, where your spouse, looks down at you for your immigration status, or they throw it around that maybe they'll divorce you and you'll have nowhere to go, or they'll take the kids away. If your spouse is jealous, controlling, if your spouse really makes your life miserable, or they don't even want to help you with your case, then these can be signs that you might qualify for something called a VAWA self-petition, which would, number 1, allow you to fix your status inside the US without having to leave. Number 2, it allows you to file for a work permit and for a travel document in most cases. So if you've never left the country in 10, 15, 20 years, now might be your opportunity to do that. And number 3, it does not require for you to show any sort of financial sponsorship from your spouse, which is actually one of the biggest problems that I see in a lot of cases, because a lot of spouses don't want to give their tax returns, or they don't make enough money and they don't want to do things to help your case, right? So if that's the case, if you have any sort of issues, we can look at whether VAWA self-petition is a case that's a great option for you. And it's important to note that this is a private case, it is a confidential case, and it does not harm your spouse, and it does not create any sort of public record, okay? But if you tell me that, Moumita, there's nothing wrong, this is not a case that's going to be right for me, then what I would look at for you, because my priority is to make sure that you can fix your status without having to leave. And if VAWA is not an option, and neither do you want to do an I-601 perdón where you leave the US, then I would look to see whether anything has happened to you here. Now, the majority of persons who are undocumented have usually held and worked for a job that may not have been very good. So many of you are lucky to never have had any problems in the workplace, but for a large majority of you, if you are undocumented and your employer knew that you were undocumented, you probably suffered a whole range of issues in your job. So for example, you may never have been paid properly. You may have been refused overtime. You may have had a boss who was racist, who screamed at you, who yelled at you, who threatened immigration on you, who gave you, who frightened you into doing work. And where these sorts of things exist, then you may be eligible for something called a T visa. Now, the T visa is something that I personally really love to do, because it really gives us a way to find hope for people who never thought they had it. And especially if you have a permanent bar or an illegal entry or other immigration violations, we're usually able to get those things waived in order to help you get a T visa. And once you have a T visa, you can actually apply for a green card after 3 years. So it is a really, really wonderful way to fix status. So Sayu, there might be some options for you, but the only way to really find out is to call and get your case analyzed. You can call us for a case evaluation, 212-248-7907. And we work with clients in every single state, no matter where you're from. If you're in Texas, California, Florida, New Jersey, Iowa, wherever you are, we work with you, and we work virtually with clients to make your life easy and to make sure that you have access to excellent legal representation. And at our law firm, we highly value our clients. We are so grateful to be able to work with the clients who choose to work with us, and we want to make your lives better, okay? All right, 212-248-7907. All right, let's see what other questions I have. Desde Martínez, hola, buenas tardes. Yo puedo agarrar a papeles. Mis hijas son nacidas aquí en los Estados Unidos. Martínez, si usted quiere arreglar sus papeles, desde sus hijos, es muy importante para entender qué tipo de entrada usted tiene, porque si tiene una entrada sin permiso, si tiene una entrada ilegal, eso va a hacer su caso un poco difícil y necesitamos ver si usted califica para casos, casos diferentes, porque si usted no tiene una entrada legal, su hijo es muy probablemente que su hijo no puede ayudarle, ¿ok? Pero hay otros tipos de casos, por ejemplo, la visa T, la visa U, y en algunos casos el autopetición VAWA puede ser una posibilidad para usted. Si quiere llamarnos, nuestro número es 212-248-7907. And our case evaluation fees are $150. If we can't help you, if we can't find something for you, we actually give you your money back. Ragnar, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Oh, and Sayu, I wanted to mention, if your kids, I forgot to mention that if your kids have a blood disorder, if you have children, if you have no options, but you do have children who have certain medical problems, sometimes we can help you get something called medical deferred action. But all that this really does is just give you work permit, and it gives you some protection against deportation. But ultimately, what we want to look at is to help you fix your status in the permanent way by getting you permanent residency, okay? All right. I want to hire a lawyer in your legal firm. Do you do payment plans? Yes, we do. We offer installment plans to our clients. I'm married, but my mother doesn't know. I want to put single on her petition. Would it hurt her case? From Leanna. Ooh, Leanna, all I could say is that if you're filing any sort of application with immigration, this is a federal, this is an immigration application. It's underneath federal law, and it's permanent. There's always a record of it. So you should always be honest in all of your answers. And I get it, you may not want your mom to know that you're married, but at some point that truth is probably going to come out, and it's better that she probably know now, and it's better that you submit the correct information on your application right now. Melly, you're so welcome. Am I able to adjust status if I was given parole and I'm married to a U.S. citizen? From Pedro Reyes. Pedro, yes. Normally when you have a parole entry, that basically allows you to adjust your status. So you should be able to, but give us a call and we're happy to look into it a little bit more. 212-248-7907. Do you work with H-1B or EB-2 clients? From 10 Bytes. We work with them, but we just don't do H-1Bs or EB-2s. I applied for VAWA, but now my husband wants to apply for the I-130. What should I do? From Bella. Oh my God, this can feel like such a dilemma, right, Bella? And anyone else, because you're not alone. There's a lot of you out there who may have filed a VAWA self-petition, but now, miraculously, your spouse wants to help you file, right? And what I would say is this, personally, from a personal standpoint, person to person, woman to woman, what I have seen in a lot of cases is that the spouse that is controlling, the spouse that truly does not have your best interests at heart, when you have to go to lengths to file a self-petition because your spouse wasn't helping you with it and was not treating you well, just because they now say that they want to file an I-130 for you does not mean that they're going to follow through with it, because there is something that is called the cycle of violence. It's called the cycle of violence. And a lot of times what happens is that sometimes things will be really, really bad, right? You're really scared of your spouse. You're afraid of getting them mad. They've been getting mad at you and hurting you and affecting you negatively more often. But then they somehow become sweet and they apologize and they want to make your life better. And that's that apology stage. However, in my 15 years in my career as a lawyer working with these sort of cases, and just as an observer of life, The one thing is true, that when a person is in that behavior, it's a cycle. And soon enough, like, it repeats itself. So if you have a VAWA self-petition pending right now, but your spouse wants to file an I-130 for you, okay, fine. Let them file the I-130. It's not going to affect your VAWA. However, I would encourage you to not withdraw your I-360 petition because, like I said, sooner or later, the cycle goes back up, right? You go back up and down, you go back up and down, and your spouse might try to withdraw your I-130 or make it impossible for it to get approved. So if you want to keep your VAWA self-petition in your back pocket, okay? And more likely than not, like, let's just say the I-130 gets approved, right? Let's just say that it does get approved. Great. Now that that's secured, then maybe you want to consider withdrawing your I-360. But, you know, what I would really say to you, Bella, is don't preclude yourself from your own options, if that makes sense. I hope that helps. But at the end of the day, you have to make the decision that is best for yourself and that you feel the most comfortable with, okay? Prasad, I'm not accepting asylum appointments at this point. My DACA is taking so long to get approved. Can I reach out to my congressman from Liz? Liz, you can, you know, and for all of my DACA recipients out there, I know your DACA renewal is probably taking a long time, and it might even take a little bit. It might not, you know, it might just take forever to get approved, depending on what happens. You can always reach out to your congressman to get the case expedited or to look into the case. But I do have to say, I'm not too sure how much good it's going to do, but you can always try doing that, okay? And it's not going to hurt anything. Tatiana, our evaluation fee is $150. And if we cannot find a case for you, then we actually give you your feedback. Do you help with F1 students? We do, but, you know, like, look, we basically really only do a few types of cases in our law firm. We're basically doing a VAWA self-petition or a T visa or a U visa or a marriage case. If you're an F1 student looking to find out what your options are, we don't offer those sorts of consultations that are open-ended. Okay, and our phone number is 212-248-7907. I have a U visa case with my daughter. Can I start another process with my 21-year-old daughter? That is an interesting question from Frankie. Frankie, if your daughter is already 21, then they're already considered an adult. Now, if you filed a U visa with your daughter before they turn 21, then your daughter should be protected. Their age basically becomes frozen at the time that you filed your U visa. But now that she's already 21 and you want to file something different, you may not be able to claim your daughter as a derivative anymore. You can't pull her along on your case because she's already 21, and the age cuts off that tie as being a child of yours, right, for immigration. So the best thing is actually going to be for your daughter to find out what she herself is eligible for. Now, if you have suffered a U visa crime in the past, maybe it's worth looking into something called a T visa, which a lot of people are eligible for, but they just don't know it. You might be eligible for it. Your daughter might be eligible for it on her own. The only way to find out really what's possible is going to be through a case evaluation. Okay, so feel free to call us, 212-248-7907. What percent of VAWA interviews are being scheduled from Live It Up? Live It Up, it's really interesting. We only had that one. Thank you. We only had one VAWA interview in December for just the I-360. Every other interview that we have is for the I-485 through a VAWA case. I think it's a very small percentage of people who got scheduled for VAWA interviews. And as far as I know, all of the attorneys who had clients with an I-360 VAWA interview don't have decisions yet on their case. And I don't believe I've heard of any interviews scheduled for January, but we never know. We'll find out, I guess. I'm sponsoring my wife. I'm living with her parents, and I'm currently unemployed. What are some evidence? So if you are unemployed and you're sponsoring somebody, then you're probably going to need a joint sponsor, but you need to get that checked out to see what your income level was before, what it is right now, and what sort of joint sponsorship you have. Morales and Kiki, I see you guys already have a case with another lawyer and you want me to take your case. Unfortunately, because of our high capacity, and also if you already have a case with another lawyer, there's not much that we can do unless there's some other activity in your case, like a request for evidence, because your case is already in process. So if you hire us, what are we going to do? There's not much that we can do. But if you do get a request for evidence, feel free to call us. We'd love to see if we can help at that point. And now, if your case has not been filed at all, then that's another, that is actually something that we can help you with, even if you're working with another lawyer, okay? Now, if you're working with another lawyer and you have a different case type and you want to file, you want us to help you file something different, that is something that we can look into, okay? But if you already have a VAWA case filed with somebody else and you want to hire us to do your VAWA case, well, like literally we can't do anything because your case is already filed. But I really appreciate that you guys want to work with me, and I do hope to be able to help wherever I can in the future, okay? Our I-751 divorce case is going to be affected underneath Trump 2025, and the answer is we don't know. We don't know, but the rules are not changing. The rules are not changing about how they're supposed to decide those cases. If you have an I-751 that you have to file, and you have to file for a waiver for underneath divorce or underneath extreme cruelty or battery, the law for that is not changing at all. The one thing that we did see change this past year is we got a lot more interviews for I-751s, and we did get a lot more RFEs for I-751s where we're requesting waivers, but we've gotten everything approved so far, even with interviews. I think we have a few cases that are just still waiting a decision from an interview. So that, it got like, it feels to me like it did actually get a little bit tougher for I-751s last year. And I don't think that they're not going to go after that really in this coming year. And I don't think we're going to see any changes. Maybe the one change that we might see again is longer processing times and maybe more interviews and RFEs, okay? But that's nothing new that basically all of us should come to expect that. Number one is asking, if I had a deportation before, I applied for VAWA, and now I have a work permit, can I still be deported? From number one, if you already have a work permit, that is, it's still going to be like a good factor in your case if you ever get picked up. Now, if you have a deportation order and you never left the US, then no matter what, you're always going to be at risk for something called reinstatement of removal. However, when you have a case that's in process again, a VAWA case, an I-485, you have proof of that can usually be used to convince the ICE agents to release you and to basically terminate that part of your case so that you can proceed with your VAWA case. But your risk of deportation doesn't necessarily go away 100%, but it just offers you a measure of higher protection in a way, okay? It's hard for me to explain, but just know that, usually ICE officers, if they see that you have something pending, if you have proof of that, they can be convinced a little bit more to be a little bit more lenient in some ways, okay? Can you call us tomorrow? Of course, you can call us anytime, 212-248-7907. ¿De qué se trata VAWA? Not sure if I understand that question in Spanish. Sofía, si puede, dame su pregunta en una otra forma, va a ayudarme a contestarle. Can my daughter help me legalize my status? She's 20 years old. From Ava. Ava, she needs to turn 21 and then she can file for you if you qualify, okay? Let's see what's happening on YouTube, guys. All right, how long does it take for an I-130 to be approved? I'm an unmarried child over 21. Petitioner is a green card holder awaiting citizenship from Shimmy. Well, Shimmy, is your petitioner someone that you're married to? If you're married to this person, they're becoming a citizen, probably take you a year, maybe a year and a half to get your green card. So that's as far as I understand it. If it's your parent who's a green card holder who's becoming a U.S. citizen, you're over 21. Well, because you're over 21, it's going to take you a long time, my friend. I'm so sorry to say. It might take you a very, very long time. My wife does not want to support me to file for my citizenship and we're separated for 2 years. What should I do from Sahil? Sahil, it sounds like possibly you have a 2-year resident card. So if you have a 2-year resident card and you and your spouse are separated and they don't want to support you in your case, you need to call us 212-248-7907, because you might be eligible to do a waiver of the joint filing requirement for your I-751 when you're separated from your spouse, or you're divorced, or you're suffering in your marriage and they don't want to help you file for your removal of conditions. You might be able to file that application by yourself. Now, it's a little bit more work, it's a little bit more complex, but that's what we deal with here in our office. We just got one approved last week. No interview, just an RFE. We got no interview. Our client was from Dominican Republic. Spouse did a lot of stuff to him, okay? Now he has a 10-year green card and we're gonna file for a citizenship, okay? So basically, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope if you're in that situation. And that's my biggest message to you guys tonight, all right? All right, guys, that's all the time that I have for today. It is so wonderful to be here. Let's see if I can just answer a couple more questions. What's my opinion on DACA from Temp? Temp, I think that they're definitely going to try to attack DACA, but I feel like they're going to swoop in to save the day, to show how much, I don't know, they're going to do something to help DACA is what I think. If I had prior charges back in 2015, should I hire an attorney to file for citizenship because it was a DUI? Christina, absolutely. I don't care how long ago your charge was. If you have any sort of criminal conviction, criminal charge, you want to file for citizenship, you want to file for a green card or anything else, always work with an attorney who understands how to do this. Because I have had, granted, some of the cases that I had the clients had multiple DUIs, and definitely the officers made a big deal out of it. And had my client not been represented by me and us protecting his interests and fighting for them to get approved, I don't really know what would have happened. But DUIs can be a big deal for some officers. I remember many, many years ago, I actually had an N-400 get denied and we had to appeal it, and we won it on appeal. So my client did naturalize. But DUIs can be a situation to watch out for when you file for naturalization. In fact, any sort of criminal charge can be an obstacle in naturalization, and you want to be careful. You want to do it the right way. You want to work with an attorney who knows how to deal with these things, okay? All right, guys, 212-248-7907. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I will see you again soon. Take care, good night, and God bless.